Are you looking for the magic to make your life truly count? Do you want the secret formula to make every day your best day yet? Hello, and welcome to the Finishing on Fire radio show. And now, here are your show hosts, Dave Wadsworth and Greg Vance.
This episode, we are talking about relationships and we've talked about with our spouse, with our aging parents, and then also our children. And this episode is obviously about our siblings. And of course, at our age, Greg, you and I have, we've had a lot of years with our siblings. And I know, we'll get into that and talking about that in just a little bit. But this comes from my book, the Amazon #1 best-selling Finishing on Fire, Living Your Legacy of Purpose, Passion, and Prosperity. And I'm going to start out with a quote from that book. Let me find the page here, but we talk about targeting. And in this chapter, it's chapter 12, I talk about targeting people. And really in our life, what we need to do is focus in or target people based on our relationships with them. And of course, the bullseye people are #1 is your spouse. Okay, that should be the most important person that you really share and spend the time with and have that relationship with. Where the next one also in that bullseye is our parents, if they're still alive, your parents. And then the next would be your children also in there. Okay, that's your bullseye. Those are the people you target, and they are bullseye people. Now, when you go out to the first ring, that's when we bring in our siblings. Okay, and so in my case, I've got 2 brothers, a younger brother and an older brother, and then I've got a sister. And so we've got 4 of us. We had mom and dad and 4 kids, and just a fantastic family and relationship throughout. Now, Greg, you might want to tell us a little bit about your family and how things have gone with them.
Yeah, absolutely. So in contrast, my family, it was much more spread out to the point of it seemed like there were at least 2 families. So I'm the youngest. My sister is 6 years older than me. My brother, next oldest, would have been 12 years older than me. He's no longer living. And
Wow.
The oldest in our family, my sister was 15 years older than me. And so it was like there was a brother and a sister together 3 years apart, and then there came my sister and me, but we were 6 years apart. And even that, by the time that she was old enough, when I was 6, she was 12. And so there was enough distance there it wasn't somebody that you could play a lot of games with when you were growing up and do things, old enough to be your babysitter.
Oh my gosh, that's funny.
Built-in babysitter. So just a little different set of family dynamics, and everybody grows up in families that are different. There's no one answer what a family looks like, but it's just kind of interesting as you and I've talked about our family experiences, that there's just a contrast there.
Yeah, huge contrast. I know when I speak about my siblings as far as age goes, I go back to the year we graduated high school. Okay, so Kelly, that was the oldest, he was 72, and my sister was 76. I graduated in 1979, and then my brother Doug was 1980. And so we were obviously very close, 18 months apart. And actually I was a snowstorm baby, so I don't know. I'll tell you that story. But and my first book actually is about, living in the ditch. And it's about, 1 ditch, 2 boys, 3,000 adventures. And I talk about in that book about, living right next door to a perennial stream, where Doug and I we were in the ditch every day. I mean, catching frogs and turtles and snakes and fish and everything. It was just crawdads. Oh my gosh, we had a time. But my first book talks about a lot of those adventures, and pretty awesome. But yeah, our family was fairly close. Of course, my brother Kelly, he was 7 years ahead of me, and so we weren't real close, because he was busy doing a lot of other things. Where Doug and I were like buddies, and then my sister was there. She was just 3 years ahead of me, so we spent a lot of time, together, mostly pulling her hair and teasing her.
Being brothers, yeah.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. So, but yeah, it's just been it's different. We're all families are different, but I can't complain because, to be honest with you, now we didn't have a lot of money. I tell people we were so poor that we couldn't even pay attention. But but that's not really true. We just didn't pay attention anyway. No, we were okay. We didn't realize we were that poor, but we were okay. We never went without meals, obviously, and we always had a family car and so forth. So we were okay, but we really had a good family. We lived in not a tiny house, but it was a very small house.
Small by today's
At
standards.
Oh my gosh, it was, yeah. It's like it's about the size of our kitchen and our living room and our bathroom right now. Okay, I mean it's really pretty small, but we actually had it's 2 bedrooms, and we actually had at one time we had 4 kids in that one little bedroom.
Wow.
And we had a set of bunk beds and then 2 singles, and there was just barely room to walk in between, the beds. It was tight. It was tight. So it wasn't so much a problem for the boys, but having my sister in there,
True.
that poor girl. Oh my gosh. So yeah, that was some really good stories on that. We need to get into those later. But so Greg, tell me a little bit about, so you actually siblings, you had 2 sisters and a brother, and you have actually lost a brother. He passed away.
Right.
And you have a sister that passed away.
Right. Exactly.
Can you tell a little bit about that? Talk a little bit about that, please.
Yeah. So unfortunately, my sister passed away when I was in college, and she had a long battle with brain cancer. And so that's not any type of cancer is not easy to watch, but that one, you start to lose control of some of your thoughts, and they don't always, they aren't coherent and don't really, it's not you. Because sometimes they just go off the rails a little bit, but so it's kind of hard to watch. I guess thankfully I was at college and 3 hours away, and so I didn't get to see her on a daily basis, unfortunately. But on the good news is, because she was so much older, I have a nephew that's only 3 years younger than me, and so growing up we were kind of like best friends when we were together. So that was a good positive thing that came out of it. And then my brother passed away. Oh my gosh, it's been a number of years now, but he had cancer as well. Colon cancer. And it was just one of those surprise things where, especially we as men, we put off stuff, and he put off till the very last minute getting something looked at that it would have been to his advantage to get it looked at earlier. And, he was gone in no time.
Wow. That's a hard one. So going back to your sister real quick, she was what, in her mid-30s?
Right.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
That's so hard. That's so hard.
Yeah.
And she had how many children?
2. Yeah. 2 children. Yeah. My niece and my nephew.
Yeah. Gosh, that's hard.
Yeah.
That's so hard. So, and then your brother, when he passed, he was he in his 50s?
Yeah, he was actually, by that time he would have been in his 60s.
In his 60s. Okay.
Yep. Yeah.
Still very young. Too young.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah, I tell you, that's a hard thing. There's no good time to lose, a sibling. That's a hard thing. Even if you're not close, you're bonded with them, and
Right.
You're part of the family. And when they go, a part of you, is lost.
Exactly.
A lot of history there. So that's hard. So So you have a sister now that is, she's still okay? Is she
Yeah,
healthy?
she's doing well. And
Okay.
yeah, we stay in touch, and so that's good. Gosh, she lives about 5 hours from here. So it does, we don't get to see each other as much as we'd like to, but hey, the miracle of texting, right? Think how many families now stay so much more in touch with each other, even just to give each other, a ribbing or a hard time periodically. But at least they stay in touch. If they forget to buy a card or something, they can at least text to say happy birthday or something.
Oh, that is so crazy. That's funny. That reminds me, I got to tell you this. I'm well known for texting, and I get a yellow sticky note. I got these sticky note dispensers everywhere, and I pull one out and I write their name and happy birthday or something on that, and I'll
Mhm.
hold it up and I do a little video.
Yeah.
And I do like a short video and say happy birthday or happy anniversary or hey, I love you, I'm proud of you, something. And then so I text them that little video, and it's very personalized, very low tech,
Right.
but it's a great way to connect. And you're right. There's no excuse today, and we'll talk about that at the very end. Our challenge, our 2-minute warning,
Right.
what we should do. But Greg, that reminds me. Talking about our siblings, my brother Doug, my sister Myra, myself, and then my sister-in-law Talisa, my oldest brother Kelly, his wife. We're the four that keep in contact every single day. We text, and what we text about is typically, caring for mom. She's 86. She
Mm.
was 86 in February, and mom, she she's still at home by herself. She has a little golf cart, drives around town. She's awesome. She's something funny. If you go on TikTok, you'll love this. I'm on TikTok, and I have a video every day. I'm called the Attitude Answer Man, and it's attitude underscore and then answer man. And I have a little encouraging video every day, and I get several, at least a couple hundred or more views and so forth. Now this, hopefully it'll keep climbing because I get a lot of, but I've had thousands and thousands of people that have watched these TikTok videos, and it's really kind of fun. But technology has really made the world a lot smaller. And with my siblings, every single day we're taking care of mom through simple text, and we will text each other, hey, mom took her medicine this morning, she sounded good, whatever. Or we say, hey, mom's golf cart is broke, something's the matter with it, can somebody go take it to the shop? So usually Kelly or Doug will do that. Or hey, mom's got a doctor's appointment coming up, can somebody take care of her? Because my brother and my sister-in-law, my other brother, they're right there close. They're within 10 miles of mom. My sister's in San Diego, so she's out in California. Well, we're here in
Yeah.
Indiana. So Myra helps. She calls mom several times a week and checks on her meds. And then she'll text us and tell her what's going on. But Myra does a lot of other things. She helps in so many ways. But we just have an amazing relationship. Us four siblings and our spouses, which is amazing. We have my other siblings. We have 4 of us together. We all have our spouses, and we're all basically pretty healthy. And so, to be at
Good.
our age, we're very, very blessed, and we have a great dynamic because a lot of times, things change when our brothers or sisters get married. Maybe they connect with a spouse that is maybe a little jealous, or they have issues, and
Mhm.
they really start separating and fracturing that relationship. Where my family, oh my gosh, and I talk about it in my book, Finishing on Fire, just some of the great relationships that I have. Matter of fact, I was going to quote something. I don't even think I wrote it down here, but it talks about, we don't have a lot of money, but the riches that I have in our family and the blessings that we have are worth. There are people that would pay millions and millions of dollars to have what I have
Yep.
as far as family relationships, because it's amazing we get together for holidays. We're either at my older brother Kelly's house, which is Christmas Eve every year, or any other holiday is at my brother Doug's house. And it's just awesome. It's phenomenal. And so I help to coach people when they want to coach about, relationships. A lot of it comes out of the book. And then of course we have our 2-day men's workshops. We have 12 men, 2 days at a time. And we talk about, finishing on fire. And that's just such a positive time where we can help men make every day truly count and make every day their best day yet. And that's really what this show is about. That's what the book is about. And having the great relationship with our siblings is all a big part of that. And I know there are so many people that would love to have, what I have. And, and I have to remember that from time to time that, what, a lot of people don't have it. And I'm very blessed, and I need to be grateful, really grateful for that. So,
right. Yeah. I remember that quote from the book for sure. And yeah, I would definitely say that what you have is highly unusual. And it's really, I could understand how you could take it for granted, because I assume it's always been that way, right?
Yeah, we have never had any issues.
Yeah.
I think a lot of it is our attitude of, we love each other first. Well, our parents, mom and dad, they raised us with love, respecting each other, work ethic. I mean, you get out there and you work and do your part. Just being a good person. Of course, they took us to church, every Sunday and taught us the values of Christ, of how to, love one another and to, do unto others as you would have them do unto you, and we always, we learned that and we were taught that. And no matter who you were, I know there's a lot of issues these days about race and all this other division and chaos in America. Sorry, my dad and mom, they wouldn't put up with any of that. And,
yeah.
And we were raised in a small town where we did not have, it was just an all white community. We didn't have any black folks or any Latino or Hispanic at all. But my mom and dad, they said, you treat every person with full respect, and you behave, you show your manners, your kindness, and that's where we were raised. And so we've always treated each other as siblings in a very similar fashion. We've always, tried to help. We don't get in each other's business necessarily, but boy, if we need help, we're there. So it's awesome. I have to admit that.
Yeah, you are truly blessed with that. And you were just talking about respecting others, being kind and things like that. And it's one of the things that I know you and I've talked about. It really doesn't cost you anything to be kind to somebody else, and it can make such a difference for both of you. It's uplifting for both of you.
Yeah.
Versus the cost of not doing it can be, really negative, really incredibly bad. So just like to remind people, I'm sure you reminded your kids growing up and maybe still that, it doesn't cost anything to be kind. So do it.
Yeah. And I just, and that's the thing that gets me. It's like, really, why wouldn't you be? And
right.
And you look at people and you say, how do you want to be treated? Well, you would want to be treated with, kindness and respect. And so why wouldn't you do the same thing? And I always tell my kids, when you're walking around in life and you see someone without a smile on their face, well, give them yours. Yeah. And that will work every time, because most people, when you greet them with a smile and an encouraging nod or hello or good morning, they're going to respond in kind. And a lot of times they may just be having a really crappy day, and just your smile and encouragement, that little word of good morning or hello, may be what they needed right then. That may have just been what they needed. So, that's so important.
You just made me think of when our kids were growing up. We always made it a point, hopefully modeled it well, but when you're just going through a checkout line, nothing angers me more when you've got people that are being disrespectful to cashiers and such, or
Right.
they're on their, they're on their phone the whole time or watching it. As I say, you say to the kids, they're treating them like they're a machine or something with
Yeah.
no respect for them as a human being, and what a
Yeah.
difference it can make just to take an interest in them, what they've got going on, because you never know what's happening in somebody else's life.
Oh, exactly. Exactly. And I just, I don't know. I go through life and I always make eye contact with people, and I try to acknowledge them. A lot of times you see people and they just, I don't know, it's almost like they're in their own little world. But I really, I've heard the saying that you never stand taller than when you reach down and help someone up.
Mm,
And you can do that just by a word of encouragement or a smile or an acknowledgement, being respectful. And,
mhm.
when I go into a restaurant, I see people that, they're rude and they're disrespectful of the servers who's coming out there to take your order, to bring your food and your condiments, all whatever you need. And they're just kind of rude. And it's like, wow, you do not have to do that. It's a choice. Life is a series of choices. And I talk about that in Finishing on Fire.
Yep.
In this book, I talk about every day you're just making a series of choices. Am I going to be a nice person today, or am I going to be a jerk? And everything you do is a choice. And it's totally up to you, 100%. So,
Mhm. Yeah, let me throw in one more tip for people. Again, you just made me think of something else that we hadn't talked about before the show. So I don't know if you've ever seen this video. There is a Chick-fil-A training video that they use that's on YouTube, and it's called something like the following. It's called "Every Person Has a Story." And
yeah.
if you've never watched that, it is an amazing video. They did such a good job of capturing from a cashier's point of view, someone helping at a Chick-fil-A restaurant, each customer that comes up and has got the thought bubbles about what's going on in their life, like their husband just passed away and this is the first time they've been out for lunch, or somebody just lost their
Wow.
job. It is one of the best ones I have ever seen, if you've had a chance to check it out.
Wow.
Anyway, just throwing
And
that in.
that's a Chick-fil-A. It's on TikTok, or not TikTok, on
YouTube.
YouTube.
YouTube. Yeah, it's probably 10 years old now, probably. It's been out there a while.
That's such an important thing. I remember Mary Kay Ash, who
Mm,
started Mary Kay Cosmetics, and
right.
her and Jim Rohn were buddies, and they went through some training and stuff together. But Mary Kay Ash was known for saying, whenever you meet somebody, just pretend that they have a sign on their forehead that says, "Make me feel important."
Mm,
And that's what people want. Acknowledge them, respect them, be kind to them, encourage them, make me feel important. And that's what people want: acknowledgement, respect, kindness. And like you said, you don't know, their bubble up there may say, yeah, my dad died yesterday, or
exactly.
or my wife just left me, or I have a son that's handicapped, and we're struggling, with his physical well-being, and
Yep.
we just don't realize that. So that's a good one. I need to check that out. So
Yeah. Check that out.
yeah.
So let's switch over to we got pretty serious there. Let's switch over to our Wadsy's World segment for today.
And now, it's time for Wadsy's World. Yes, Dave Wadsworth's true life animal stories.
Today's magic number is 21. So Dave's going to pull out his list of animal encounters and help us understand what animal 21, what sort of relationship and encounter they had.
That's that 21's a good number. That was my actually my football jersey number in high school.
There you
When I
go.
played football, yeah, I was number 21. Nobody famous, really wore that number, but I did. So
You're famous. Yeah.
yeah, my brother, he wore jersey 34 because we were big fans of Walter Payton.
Yeah.
which is kind of another amazing story because, and we'll talk about that in the next podcast. Remind me, because we're going to talk about our relationship with our friends. And we've got a mutual friend, Leslie, and we want to talk about his dad just a minute, being a football coach. So anyway,
oh yeah, great idea.
Yeah. Number 21, my football jersey number. And as far as animals go, oh, it's an eagle. Okay, we're going to talk about eagles. I need to come up with an animal story that involves an eagle. This is a good. Okay, let me think. I got several different ones. Excuse me. Here's what I like. I do work. I have a machine, and I go into a woods, and I can make it a park. I mulch the trees and brush and invasive species and all the ugly stuff, and help the good trees and plants grow. And there's a gentleman up by Bloomington, Indiana, and he bought a couple of 300 acres, 200 and some acres. And he's going to have different animals in there. He wanted to put a fence around the whole property. So I was cutting away around his whole property. And it was actually, I don't know what the total distance was, probably a mile and a half or more, but I had to cut several paths through there. And in one area I could not go through until there was this huge poplar tree that had died. It was just a huge big tree, and it had some limbs up there, but not a lot. But up in the very top there was a big open area, and there was a huge eagle's nest up there. Wow. And it was phenomenal. And so they had, the eagles had, I don't know if it's one or two, I think there were maybe two little eaglets in there. I guess that's what they're called, eaglets. And so the male and female would take turns, up there on the nest. And the gentleman there, he did not want me working underneath this tree or near the tree while the baby eagles were in the tree. And the neighbor, he had a telescope, and he would watch. And he said one time in the eagle's nest, he actually saw a deer leg that was in the nest. Apparently it was I don't know if it's a roadkill or what, but this eagle had a leg from a deer and had taken it up there in the nest to feed the babies. And I'm like, whoa, that's really serious. But
wow.
But another part of that story, when the baby eagles finally flew away, actually, I think the way they do it, they kick them out of the nest. When it's time for them to go, they kick them out of the nest, and they either, hit the ground or they fly, they learn. And so it's like, here you go, buddy. It's time to get out, like your kid graduating from high school. Okay, time to move out of the basement. You're out of here. But they kick them out, and once they left the nest, then he let me come back and then cut the property boundary around right by that tree where the eagle nest was at. And because he just didn't want to disturb them. And I'm like, oh, I don't either. But one thing, when I was around that tree, I got out of the machine, I got to look, and there's all kinds of bones all around the base of that tree from these eagles, getting these animals. I mean, turtle bones and fish bones and all kinds of skulls and things. And it was like, man, these guys had quite an appetite, but I guess they had eaten them, and they would kick them out of the nest and, kick the bones and stuff out of the nest. But it was pretty cool. But I took a few pictures and stuff of that, and it was neat. But that was one cool encounter of being around eagles that was just really interesting, really neat, and just one of my fun adventures with animals.
Wow, I love that. That's I can only imagine, you got these little eaglets, as you said, that are growing and so quickly, ready to fly, within a short amount of time. Yeah, that takes a lot of nutrition. So I'm not surprised what you found. Oh my.
Yeah. That was quite a treat. So I'm glad we pulled up number 21 with the Eagles.
21. All right. Well, anything else to cover? I think I've covered everything I wanted to cover. We're ready to go to our 2-minute warning.
Yeah, let's do that. Let's go ahead and close out with our 2-minute warning.
And now it's time for the 2-minute warning.
And of course, I talk about that in the book. I talk about how life is short. It really is. And as you get older, you realize that clock is ticking, and you kind of think about your legacy, and you want to make every day count. And of course, being a big football guy, a sports guy, I love watching the team strategize and play. And of course, when you look at the stats, the last 2 minutes of the first half and the last 2 minutes of the game is where the vast majority of points are scored.
Yes.
And so, we need to look at our life as being in the last, at the 2 minute warning, in the last part of the game. And so we need to make everything count. Each act that we do, each word that we say, let's make it really have an impact. And so this 2 minute warning, here's what we're going to do. All you listeners, we want you to do one thing. It's really simple. And we talked about texting earlier. It's very simple. We're talking about your siblings. Okay. So hopefully you have siblings that are alive. I tell you what we want you to do. This is your call to action. You text an encouragement and a kind note to your siblings, and do it right now. As soon as this show is over, once you've listened to it, you get out your phone, because you all have one, and you know how to text, and send something encouraging and kind, and let them know, just maybe a word of gratitude. Say, thank you. You've been a really good brother or sister, or whatever, or I remember, this and that. But text them a kind and encouraging note, and do it right now. And that's your call to action. So 2 minute warning, get out there and do it. You won't be sorry. So
Yep. Make it happen now.
Thank you for listening to the Finishing on Fire radio show. Be sure to visit finishingonfire.com for more great content. Go light your world.